It was a cold afternoon at the city park, and Daniel, a single dad in his early 30s, had brought his daughter Lily to play after school. As he sat on the bench sipping lukewarm coffee, he noticed two small figures sitting alone near the swings. At first, he assumed they were waiting for a parent, but something about the way they sat, shoulders curled, heads bowed, made him look twice. Children usually ran, laughed, shouted, but these two didn't move or speak. When a group of kids ran past them, the twins flinched, confused. Daniel felt a tug in his chest, as if something unseen was urging him to pay attention. Lily was busy building a tiny fortress out of twigs, humming a tune she'd invented. Daniel stood, hands in pockets, and walked a few steps closer to the twins. They were around 8 years old, a boy and a girl, wearing mismatched sweaters a size too big. Parents walked by without a glance, as if the twins were invisible. Daniel watched as a nearby mother pulled her child away when the girl tried to wave. The boy tapped his sister's shoulder and motioned something with his hands. Daniel froze. He recognized the movements. They were signing, quickly, nervously, looking around as if searching for someone who understood. His heart tightened. Years ago, he had taken sign language classes for his late wife, who had partially lost her hearing after an accident. Watching the twins communicate brought back memories, some sweet, some heavy. He hesitated, unsure if approaching would frighten them. The girl noticed him watching, grabbed her brother's sleeve, and shrank back. Daniel raised his hand slowly, deliberately, and signed a simple word, "Hello." The twins froze. The boy's eyes widened, the girl's mouth parted in shock. People around them continued their lives, unaware of the quiet miracle unfolding beside the swings. The boy signed back hesitantly, asking if Daniel really knew sign language. Daniel nodded and introduced himself. The twins looked at each other, a mix of relief and disbelief washing over their faces. The girl signed that their names were Mia and Max. She explained that they had been waiting for their aunt, who was supposed to pick them up after school. But she was late again, and they didn't know how to ask for help. Daniel's chest ached at the thought of these two children, alone and unable to communicate with anyone around them. Lily saw her father signing and ran over curiously. Lily had seen sign language before in old videos of her mom, but she had never seen children her age use it. She crouched in front of the twins and waved shyly. Max smiled for the first time, signing that her hair clips were colorful. Lily giggled and tried copying the sign, getting it wrong, but Mia corrected her gently. For a moment, the tension melted. Daniel watched the three children interact, something blooming in his chest, an unexpected tenderness. But when he asked when they had last eaten, Mia lowered her gaze. Their lunchboxes had been empty. Their aunt always promised to do better. She never did. Daniel offered them snacks he kept for Lily, granola bars and juice boxes. The twins hesitated until Lily nodded enthusiastically, urging them to take one. Max ripped open the wrapper hungrily, while Mia ate more slowly, glancing around as if expecting to be scolded. Daniel wondered how long they'd been living like this, ignored, misunderstood, and pushed aside because communication required effort. He asked if their aunt knew sign language. The twins shook their heads vigorously. Their parents had passed away years earlier, and the aunt didn't have time to learn. Daniel's jaw tightened with quiet frustration. The sun dipped lower, casting longer shadows across the park. Daniel realized the aunt still hadn't arrived. He asked the twins if they had any way of contacting her. Max handed him a battered phone with a cracked screen. It had only 2 numbers saved. Daniel called the first one. No answer. He tried the second, straight to voicemail. He took a deep breath, balancing patience with rising concern. Meanwhile, Mia tugged his sleeve, signing that they didn't want to cause trouble. Daniel knelt so he was eye level with her and signed back that they weren't trouble. They were children, and someone needed to look out for them. Lily grabbed her dad's hand and whispered that they should stay with the twins until someone came. Daniel agreed. The 4 of them moved to the bench, sharing Lily's blanket to keep warm. Max began showing Lily how to sign her name correctly, guiding her hands with surprising gentleness. Mia sat beside Daniel, watching his hands as he signed simple questions, slowly helping her feel safe enough to respond. People continued to walk by, some staring but most pretending not to see. Daniel ignored them all, focusing on the quiet bond forming between these two worlds, one hearing, one silent, yet deeply connected. Minutes became an hour. The park emptied. Daniel tried calling again. Still nothing. His worry turned into something heavier, deeper. He finally asked the twins if their aunt often forgot them like this. Max looked down, signing that it had happened, many times. Mia added that sometimes they walked home alone, even when it was dark. Daniel clenched his fists, feeling anger simmer beneath the surface. These were children, not burdens, not obligations to be postponed. He took a breath, calming himself for their sake, then signed that he wasn't leaving them alone tonight, no matter what. He decided to take them to his home temporarily and contact social services if the aunt continued to be unreachable. Max and Mia exchanged frightened looks, unsure if they should trust him, until Lily grabbed both their hands and insisted with childlike certainty that her daddy was the safest person ever. The twins exhaled shakily. With their permission, Daniel texted the aunt explaining where the children would be and giving his address. No reply. He packed up Lily's things, wrapped the twins in spare jackets from his car, and ushered all three into the backseat. During the drive, Lily told stories about school, drawing out hesitant laughter from the twins. Max signed that he liked drawing, while Mia loved stories with dragons. Daniel signed back that they could borrow some of Lily's books. The siblings looked at each other, surprised that a grown-up cared about their interests. As they pulled into Daniel's driveway, he wondered what his late wife would think. She had always wanted a home full of kids laughing, signing, learning. The thought tightened his throat, but he shook it off and focused on the three small shapes following him inside. Inside the warm living room, the twins looked around timidly. Lily immediately went to fetch her storybooks and art supplies. Daniel made dinner, simple pasta and vegetables, and served the children. Max signed that it was the best meal in a long time, and Mia nodded vigorously. Daniel's heart broke and warmed at the same time. After dinner, Lily asked if they could watch a cartoon together. The twins hesitated until Daniel turned on closed captions. Their faces lit up, as if someone had finally opened a door they'd been knocking on for years. After the movie, Daniel let the twins borrow clean pajamas from Lily's old drawer. Max examined the soft fabric as if it were treasure. Mia brushed her fingers along the sleeve, eyes shimmering. Daniel set up a temporary sleeping arrangement, an air mattress and warm blankets near Lily's room. As he tucked them in, Mia signed a quiet thank you. Max echoed it. Daniel replied with "You're safe here." The twins relaxed for the first time that day, drifting into sleep as the house settled into peaceful silence. The next morning, Daniel woke early and prepared breakfast, pancakes, fruit, and warm milk. The twins tiptoed into the kitchen, unsure if they were supposed to be there. Lily bounded in behind them, declaring it a special breakfast for special guests. Daniel laughed, flipping pancakes while signing good morning. For a moment, he imagined this becoming routine, three kids around the table, signing and laughing. But reality tapped at the back of his mind. At some point, he would have to deal with the aunt. He wasn't looking forward to it. While the kids ate, Daniel called the aunt again. This time, she answered, irritated, unapologetic, claiming she had too much on her plate. When Daniel confronted her about leaving two deaf children alone for hours, she scoffed, saying they were used to it. Daniel's jaw tightened. He signed to the twins that he needed to talk privately and stepped into another room. The aunt insisted she didn't have time to care for them properly and suggested Daniel drop them off later. Her indifference was stunning. Daniel ended the call feeling cold. He returned to the table, trying not to show his anger. The twins watched him anxiously. Daniel knelt and signed that their aunt would come, eventually, but he also signed that they deserved better, someone who cared, someone who listened. Max blinked rapidly, fighting tears. Mia wiped her eyes. Lily stood between them, wrapping her arms around their shoulders. Daniel realized then that this wasn't temporary. These children had slipped into his life at the exact moment they needed someone, and he couldn't just hand them back to neglect. He called a social worker he trusted, explaining everything that had happened. She said she would look into the aunt's home situation and visit later that day. When Daniel told the twins, they panicked, signing that they didn't want to be separated or placed in another unfamiliar home. Daniel assured them that he would stay with them through every step, signing each word slowly so they knew he meant it. The fear in their eyes softened slightly, replaced by a flicker of hope. To distract them, Daniel suggested baking cookies. Max perked up instantly, while Mia quietly followed Lily to wash their hands. Soon the kitchen was filled with flour, laughter, and small hands shaping uneven dough balls. Daniel helped Max crack eggs, showing him how to mix the batter. Mia decorated cookies with sprinkles, sticking out her tongue in concentration. Watching the three children giggle and sign back and forth, Daniel felt something shift deep within him, a sense of belonging he hadn't felt since before his wife passed. When the cookies were ready, the smell filled the house. The children crowded around the tray as Daniel signed hot, careful. Max and Lily pretended to blow on them dramatically, making Mia laugh. They spent the next hour drawing pictures of their new family. Max drew 4 stick figures, Daniel, Lily, and the twins holding hands. Mia added a big sun and a house with a heart. Daniel felt his throat tighten again. These children were already imagining a future with him. Was he ready for that? After lunch, the doorbell rang. The twins froze. Daniel squeezed their shoulders reassuringly before opening the door. The social worker stepped in, greeting the children warmly and kneeling to sign her name. The twins relaxed slightly. She spoke with Daniel privately, asking detailed questions about what had happened. Daniel explained everything, from the park to the unattended calls to the aunt's dismissive attitude. The social worker sighed, saying this wasn't the first complaint about the aunt. She said temporary custody arrangements might be necessary. When she evaluated the twins, she communicated in sign language fluently, asking about their daily routines, school life, and their feelings. Mia signed that she often felt scared. Max signed that they wanted to stay where people understand. The social worker nodded gently, her expression serious. She said she would try to expedite the process and left, promising to return soon with more information. The twins clung to Daniel's sleeves as the door closed. Daniel sat with them on the couch, signing that no matter what happened, he would not let them be alone again. They leaned into him, trusting him with the pure trust only children can give. Lily climbed onto the couch too, placing her tiny hand over all 3 of theirs. She declared loudly that they were a team now. The twins smiled softly, something vulnerable, something blooming. Hours later, Daniel received a call from the social worker. The aunt had agreed to relinquish temporary custody. She didn't have the energy to raise them. Daniel felt a wave of anger, but also relief. He signed the news to the twins slowly. At first, they didn't believe him, but when he repeated it, Max burst into tears, happy ones. Mia hugged him tightly, signing thank you again and again. Daniel contacted a lawyer to begin the fostering process. It would take time, paperwork, evaluations, but he was determined. He told the twins they could stay with him and Lily as long as they wanted. The relief in their faces was almost overwhelming. They signed excitedly with Lily, talking about room decorations, bedtime stories, and learning new words in sign language together. Daniel watched them, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in years. That evening, Daniel gathered the kids around the dinner table. The twins signed a grace they had learned at school, thanking the universe for finding them a safe house. Daniel struggled not to cry. After dinner, they played board games, the living room filled with laughter and hands flying in joyous motions. Daniel felt his late wife's presence in the room, as if she were smiling at the family forming in her absence. Before bed, Daniel read a story aloud while signing the main parts. Max and Mia watched his hands intently, following every gesture. Lily curled up beside them, proud of her dad for being the kind of person who saw what others ignored. Daniel tucked them all in, kissed their foreheads, and signed good night, my little stars. The twins held his hand before drifting into sleep. In the quiet of the night, Daniel stood by the door, watching the 3 children sleep peacefully. His home, once filled with silence and old memories, now buzzed with new life and bright possibilities. He realized he had not just rescued the twins, they had rescued him from loneliness, from grief, from the quiet ache of living without purpose. They had brought back the joy he thought he'd lost forever. The next morning, Daniel drove all 3 kids to school, Lily chatting excitedly, Max signing jokes, Mia smiling softly at the passing clouds. As he waved goodbye, the twins turned and signed family. Daniel signed it back, feeling his heart expand. He had once seen two deaf twins ignored by everyone. Now they were his children in every way that mattered. Proof that sometimes a simple hello can change lives forever.